Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Buy Rounds Midweek Matters with me, the host James Graham, and also
Charlie White.
Charlie
How
White.
are you, Jimmy?
I'm going well, mate. I'm going really well. Football's back. How good? The round one.
It was
full
amazing.
of surprises. Shocking in the tipping. Shocking.
I forgot to do my tips, so I've said screw it. Not doing tipping this year.
Now, is that why you decided to go the wrong way on the escalator?
I have had a bit of a mare today.
That's something I've
had a few different mares. So I've done a couple of podcasts in the morning, and as I was walking, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. And then I sort of had one of those moments where I'm like, mate, you've done two podcasts. Like, relax. No need to be that tired. There was like a group of people walking past, like carrying all this plasterboard past me. It looked a lot more hot and sweaty and more tired than me. And then also locked myself out of the house, which was strike one. That's how I started my day. But then I walked down an escalator the wrong way and almost like sent myself tumbling back. So I like stumbled. And then this young bloke just starts laughing at me out loud.
Good. How, mate, you're not that old yourself. How old is a young bloke, like a kid?
No, he's probably like 25. Probably like similar age to me. You know? I'm young though. I'm a young guy.
Yeah.
We're all young.
All right. Young at heart.
Yeah.
Young at heart.
Yeah.
So you're locked out. Are you back in?
No, I'm not back in. So I haven't got my car as well. So my car keys are locked in there. So I walked here. I was meant to bring an adapter for this. Forgot the adapter. Well, didn't forget the adapter. Just couldn't get in and use it. But anyway, who cares?
Well,
who cares?
I'm sure there's a locksmith out there that cares. Or did you do the old smash the window job?
Well, no, I'll just wait for my missus to get home. So she'll finish work like 5 o'clock. And then I'll just I'll wait it out.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
Hang here.
Hang here for a few hours.
I'm going home as soon as this finishes. So I'm not staying.
Mate, I'll be here.
Mate, we've had a fantastic start to the season, and I just want to thank all the Buy Round listeners for tuning in. Please, as always, like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and also, because there's a lot of new listeners, just a reminder, there's some great episodes in our back catalogue. Wayne Bennett, Victor Radley's a fascinating chat, Sam Burgess, Pete Sterling, Michael Innes. There's a lot there. So any new listeners, please go back over the catalogue and have a listen to some great insight. I think the Wayne Bennett one especially.
It's fascinating,
just before
Wayne Bennett.
He started with the Dolphins, and even Victor as well, a little bit of a look into the psyche of him. He's a different cat.
Very different. There's a moment in there where he talks about when he sees another guy bleeding, one of his teammates, and how he almost gets jealous of that, which is like, wow, you're a different sort of fella.
He's the type of guy you'd want next year in the trenches, that's for sure.
And Wayne Bennett, the interview's actually at Redcliffe's office.
Yes, it was.
In his office.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely worth checking out.
It definitely is.
But anyway, to matters pertinent to rugby
more
league.
present matters. Wade Graham, 4 weeks.
Yeah. I think that seems really harsh considering he's got almost a perfect record. It was his first ever time being sin-binned. I think he's been suspended one other time during his career where he missed an Origin game for, I think, a tackle on Jonathan Thurston. But I feel really bad for him because he's one of the good guys, and to miss 4 weeks for a tackle that, I don't know, to me live when I saw it, I was like, that looked like a really good hit.
Yeah, look, I think it is one of those where you watch it live and then you're thinking, it's a momentum changer. That's why he's come off the bench, to inspire his team. But I think with this 4 week suspension, it could be in 3. I think basically it links into all the head injury assessments where I think the NRL have realised they've got to suspend that style of tackle out of the game and de-incentivize the player to go after a momentum changer in that fashion. I think that's what they're doing. And it was interesting to hear Graham Annesley speak midweek about saying that he makes no apologies for the HIA or the HIA, and I think it's the same with Wade. And to do that in round one, I think that sets the standard, and I think that the players now have got to take notice. As difficult as that is, I think the players have really got to take notice, and they know now if you get that wrong, you're going to be gone.
it takes part of our game away, though. That is one of the more exciting parts when a sort of a forward sprints off the back fence and tries to hit someone. Like that's one of the best parts of the game, seeing that brutality. And the other thing with Wade Graham is like if you go to court and you've got a good record, you can get a lesser, sentencing. So I lost my driver's license, but I had a clean record. So my suspension went from 3 months to 3 weeks. Like I think you should have something similar if you are a guy like Wade Graham, who's sort of the amount he does for the game. It's his final season, and his record on the field is almost perfect.
Well, perhaps that they have,
but they haven't had that.
Well, no, because perhaps if it happens to someone else later down the track with a massively worse record than Wade, maybe they're hit with 4. They try to downgrade it and they get it up to 5 or 6.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, but I think they perhaps they have taken that into account. Do they have the loading?
I don't
system?
think they have that. In this case, they have. Of course, they've got the loading system, but this isn't. This is they've charged it for what it is. They like grade 2 reckless or whatever it was. That's the same charge that everyone gets. They don't charge those based on who the player is that's doing it. Of course, I'm sure things like injury and who the player do come into it a little bit just because of the bias that the judiciary people might have. But in a situation like this, why can't he get a warning for, a record like that? If you have something like 10 years of a clean record, surely that should count for something.
Yeah, because I think then you just open up a can of worms, Charlie. They've got to be consistent in their approach. And look, I'm attracted to our game because of those big hits. But obviously, I think basically the NRL are shitting themselves about what's coming down the track. And if they're not seen to be being proactive and acting on contact with the head, like they're going to be screwed in 10, 20 years' time. If as far as that, I think they have to be seen as acting. And if the good guy approach. Look, I like Wade Graham. He's been on the podcast. Like he's a top fella. I don't believe he intentionally went out there to make contact with the head, but mate, it's hard for me as an ex-player that played on the line, but I'd be happy as long as the NRL are consistent with it.
Yeah.
So they don't flip and flop halfway through the year. But I think they've set their mark now, and that, if it happens this week, it'll be a similar one. If it happens around 16, it'll be a similar suspension.
This might sound a bit naive, so apologies if it is, but could the NRL, if they're so worried about this court case, could they not just have a form that says, by signing this, you are aware that you are putting your brain at risk because you're playing a contact sport that involves concussion and high impact, and you are aware of this, and it is just the nature of the game? Or if they do that, does rugby league then become potentially illegal?
Well, I think it's a great idea in theory.
Yeah.
Great idea in theory that like you are, and you know what? All players go out there knowing that there's a risk of injury.
Because every player's signing that waiver, just aren't they? In all honesty, every single player is going to sign that waiver.
There's been some horrific accidents happen on a rugby league field, and I guess each player deep down knows that. There's other dangers in life which we navigate. I guess the signing the waiver argument is, again, I think it works in theory. It makes sense. However, I believe the unintended consequence of that would be a massive reduction in participation at junior level, where it's almost a massive admission that, hey, this game is super, super dangerous. And, it's almost saying conclusively the evidence is clear. It does cause this. So you're like, we're washing our hands of the risk. And I think the NRL are best, all the sports governing bodies are best to manage it and look to mitigate it, understand that it happens, but also say we're going to do our best to lower the risk and take the appropriate action based on the evidence available to us as it stands. And also, I think that I would imagine they'd be quite fearful of this being made public, and then therefore parents going, nah, this is way too dangerous now.
Yeah, it's a very good point you make. But let's focus on the footy then.
Yes.
Because round two, it's here. And it starts off with a blockbuster, the Penny Panthers against the Rabbitohs. And I'll tell you what, if the Panthers lose this game, the storylines are just going to keep on popping up. The Panthers are cooked. They've lost Appy. They've lost Kick Out. They can't do it again. So it's almost a must-win for Penrith.
No, it's not. I'm not buying into that narrative, Charlie. It is not a must-win for Penrith. Look, I think they'll want a big response. The last two games, they've been in the contest. Obviously losing by a small margin in each of those games, but they need a performance, and it's coming up against a South team that looked very comfortable against the Sharks. Like they looked like a team that's primed for an assault on the Premiership, and you've got Latrell stoking the fire as well.
What do you say? You've got they've got a few dents in their windscreen or something like that. A few cracks in the windscreen. I think it was. I love stuff like that.
As a fan and as a person within the media, love it. At stokes the fire. Cleary's response, like, "Oh, have you got cracks? Well, you better ask Latrell." So they're obviously aware of it.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if it was one of his middle forwards, like, it's all right for you at the back, Latrell. Like, we know you're strong. We know you can handle yourself. We know, like, it's almost impossible to get a shot on you. But they might just take the ringer out on me. So
you were during your days.
I'm imagining James Fisher-Harris, Moses Leota just be going like
Davy Moali got hit bad last week.
Yeah, like thanks, mate. We're in the firing line here. Like, it's all right for you out the back, but no, I think it adds a lot of it adds more to the occasion, and these type of things get eyeballs on the games, and you could argue that's what our game needs. There's been a few examples that we spoke about prior to coming on. It does get.
Yeah, it gets it going. It sets the storyline. Would you ever do that during? Oh no, because you and Sammy, obviously, that the media would pump those contests up, you versus Sam Burgess every time. Were you ever tempted to sort of fire a shot or two?
No.
What about behind the scenes? Like, would you ever message players and sledge them?
No.
Like even the English teammates, things like that.
No, we'd laugh about some of the things we said to each other.
Like actually on the field?
On the field. Yeah. Or but then when we left, leave it, for having a beer or whatever, he'd be like, you remember when you said this to me? It's like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember actually, Sam was in, I can't remember which game it was. And every time he got tackled, he'd carry on. I'd be like, you think you can't be tackled, Burgess? What do you think you can't be tackled? We're not allowed to tackle you. And he always used to one of those. I didn't regret saying it, but I was like, you're just in that moment. And then next time we're on a beer, he's like, you remember me saying that? You think you can't be tackled, Burgess? I'm like, mate, shut up. Like, it's a bit cringy.
Yeah.
You're almost you're a different person when you're on there. I'm like, don't mention, shut up. And he's like, do you remember when you didn't shake my hand? I was like, yeah, because you were ringing a bell. Remember when you did this? Like, yeah. But no, I think that the build-up, again, coaches over here, and in England, to be fair, play it down.
Speaking of Sam Burgess, obviously part of the Rabbitohs coaching team. It was good to see him there, dressed in sort of the coach's outfit, the suit and whatnot. Not the suit, the jacket and pants.
Yeah.
And, hope it all goes really well for him, because he looks like, even just looking at him on the screen pre-game, all the players you can tell are sort of eating up everything he's saying, eating out the palm of his hands. You obviously know him very well. I'm sure he's probably made for that sort of world. So
yeah, I think he's really attracted to the idea of coaching. And all the chaos that comes with it. But I must say, his head massive. I bumped into him at the Ed Sheeran concert, and I know mine's big, but I was like, Sam,
Was he lost weight in his fucking upper body or something, and it's just expanding?
It is. Actually, you know who he looks like? You wouldn't know who he is over here, but maybe for Instagram they can put up a side-by-side comparison. A guy called Frankie Sidebottom, who, had a massive paper mache head. So maybe Tone can do some magic with that.
Maybe he's getting a bit of a big head from becoming a coach.
No, this is all natural. Just massive meathead.
The second Friday game, Eels v Sharks. Now that is a blockbuster game for a Friday 6 o'clock game, and both teams lost round one. No Nico Hines again, which is a shame. Hope fingers crossed he's back soon with that calf injury. Are you worried at all about Parramatta from that opening game?
No, well, it's two teams from last year's top four, isn't it? So, both coming off a loss. I was actually quite impressed with Parramatta against Melbourne. They bombed some chances, and I think they'll learn a lot from that. Like, there was a time there where they've got a good ball scrum late in the game. Sivo goes over the sideline on the very first play off the base of the scrum. So you're like, they just didn't help themselves, and I think they would have learnt a lot from that game. And I think, Cronulla had their chances too. That forward pass was debatable, but no, I think Para will have a little bit too much for them, and you never make excuses, but they're a different side a much different side when they've got Hines there. With all due respect to Trindle, I think he's a handy footballer, but Hines is arguably the best player in the game. Well, he won the Dally M, didn't he? So, and that's the game for my same game multi.
Okay.
Yes. So I've got.
You want to do it now?
I can do it now for you, mate.
Or should we save it to the end? Let's save it to the end.
Keep the powder dry.
Yeah, keep the powder dry.
Okay, I can do that.
It was great to see Hodgson back as well.
It was. I thought he played really well, and adds that. He's got that really wide pass, which Parramatta looked like they were really utilising well, and he'll come into his own as he gets closer to the try line and takes a bit of pressure off the halves on the last play too.
And the second Friday game then is the Broncos against the Cowboys. Geez, this is a good round, isn't it? Round one was great, but they've backed it up with some epic clashes. In Suncorp Stadium, both teams won with the opening round. They're arguably probably the two best Queensland teams. Well, not arguably, they probably are the two best Queensland teams. But who do you actually rate higher of these two?
Mate, I guess before round one, I would have said the Cowboys, but that Broncos performance, I don't know. I think, I'm liking the Broncos for this. I think it's this game, this fixture. It's lived up to some. It's had some classics.
It was a couple of years there. It was just Golden Point. Then they had the grand final. Which was it just serves up a treat every single time. It's full of drama, full of momentum swings and scoreline swings, and the lead changes hands. So, the Broncos I just think were so impressive, and then they. Especially defensively against the Panthers, I thought they were very comfortable. And the Cowboys, they... Just trying to hold the sneeze there.
I think the Cowboys were just did enough against Canberra, but obviously fell away a little bit at the end. It's going to be interesting. I hope that pitch is kneaded together properly.
Yeah,
you could see that at the Dolphins game.
Ed Sheeran concert and
bloody gingers.
Yeah.
But back on the Broncos to win.
Yep, I like that. Then we go to Saturday, the Roosters and the Warriors. Probably won't spend too much time on this game. I think most people think the Roosters will have what it takes to get the Warriors. But the only sort of issue now for the Roosters, Lodge is out for a while. Obviously, Takiaha has gone over to the Super League. Tupanua is question marks around him with the ACL. Angus Crichton, question marks around everything with him. They're losing some troops early. And it's the same thing again this year that they've had the last couple of years. They just can't seem to keep everyone healthy. And it's going to be such a shame if this is the year they have again where they're losing players left, right, and centre.
Yeah, let's hope it's not like that, Charlie. But it's a strong organisation, and I think they'll be bouncing back with a win.
Do you want me to make a ridiculous call early in the year?
Yeah.
I can't see that. I don't think the Roosters will win the comp after one game. Happy to call it.
So you're backing one of the other. That's a really ridiculous claim.
Yeah,
you're picking 16 other sides.
Well, I'm not.
You get 60. But you're saying they won't win the comp?
Yeah, I'm saying they won't. Well, they're the equal
Second
favourites with
favourites.
Penrith at the moment. I think. I just can't see it.
I don't think that's that big a claim to make.
I think it's a big claim. They're your premiership favourites.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I'm saying they can't win the comp after one game.
All right. Well, let's hopefully Brandon Smith doesn't get hold of this.
I'll make an even bigger call. The Tigers won't win the comp either.
For those just on the audio, I am clapping my fingers there.
Second game on Saturday then, the Dolphins against the Raiders. Now, the Dolphins were the stars of round one, but they're coming up against the Canberra Raiders. And I'm surprised about this, but the Raiders are actually the betting favourite at Ladbrokes. Maybe they just don't think the Dolphins can match that level of intensity.
Yeah, look, and the Raiders are back up to Queensland for a second week in a row as well.
Well, they stayed up there apparently. They've stayed up to Queensland. I mean, a bit nicer than Canberra, isn't it? If we're going to be honest.
Well, you're obviously not working for the Canberra Tourist Board, are you, Charlie?
No. I'm happy doing this for now.
Career change. No, I like the Raiders in this game. I think it's obviously a very emotional, or was an emotional day for the Dolphins, but I fancy the Raiders to come back and win this one.
They looked all right in round one as well, didn't they? And,
yeah, they did.
The final Saturday game, actually, I wouldn't mind talking about the Dogs a bit here. The Dogs are taking on the Storm in Melbourne. I know you had them in your top 8, but they didn't look that good in round one. They look like they might be missing a few middle forwards. Obviously, losing Luke Thompson's not ideal. But, I mean, across the board, it was just a bad day at the office for them.
Yeah, it was. And I know they're looking to regroup pretty quickly, and I know that they will. They just didn't help themselves with a couple of silly mistakes. Cam Serraldo said he's not going to accept that. He's named, I think, the same 17 off from recollection. And I actually don't mind their chances going down to Melbourne. No Munster. It's massive. We saw the difference his absence made in that Thursday night game. And, yeah, the Dogs will be looking for a response.
Fair enough. I mean, I think top 8's still ambitious for them. Just looking at that game, looking at the amount of quality teams you got, it's one of those games where no one would be surprised if they lose. However, if they get a win, things turn for them, and then everyone's getting behind the Doggies.
Oh, mate, a week's a long time in sport, isn't it?
This to Sunday then, the Tigers against the Knights. Now, arguably two of the most disappointing teams from round one, going head-to-head, Leichhardt Oval. Could be the Jackson Hastings Cup, you might call it.
Yes. Bit of media as well about the Bateman and Hastings, which is a bit weird. But I like the Tigers in this. I really do. Thought Newcastle were potentially hard done to, but big trip over there to New Zealand. And the Tigers have just got to perform. You
know that media talk about everyone saying that Johnny Bateman and Jackson Hastings didn't see eye to eye when they were playing together in Wigan? And maybe that's one of the reasons why Jackson Hastings was pushed out from the Tigers. Is that realistic? Like, surely in a football club, there's lots of players who aren't best mates, and wouldn't you just get on with it out there on the field?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
you don't need to be best of buddies, and I've played with people that don't massively get along, but yeah, some of the suggestions I think are a little bit off the mark.
Poor Jackson Hastings. It seems like it's all these articles come out. It's a bit disrespectful to constantly be attacking his personality and things like that. It's just the constant headlines. And I think the Knights might get the Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Titans missed 48 tackles and they still only scored 10 points. So the Titans were not very good. And the Tigers looked like they were way off the Titans.
See, I think there's a bit of a false... it's not as important stat as what people think, missed tackles.
Why is that? Just doesn't tell the full story?
No. I think I've seen it before where teams near the bottom miss the least amount of tackles. It's not everything.
Final game of the round, then Dragons Titans. They made them wait the NRL. They gave them the bye, and they gave them the last game of round 2, and the pressures just keeps on building and building for them.
Yeah, well, they've had to sit through 15 games of football before they get a chance to have a touch. So, but yeah, look, I hate to say this, Charlie, I really do, but the pressure is on. you know, you'd be naive to think that it's not. It's the nature of the beast. I don't enjoy saying this, but it is, but it comes with the territory, mate. You know, you're a huge club that has underperformed, and expectation is high, so the pressure is on. That said, I think they'll get the win.
All right, well, let's wrap it up then, Jimmy, with our same game multis. We didn't have the best round this week, unfortunately. I was close, though. Ronaldo Militalo, he was over the line, he scores. And then I assume AJ got close to scoring at some other point as well.
I was watching you during that game, and you were not happy with Militalo.
Well, he's over the line because that also bets are all about momentum as well. you get a bit of momentum early, and then you start putting. That's what I do with multis. I put like $1.12 bets at the start of my multis because it's all about just build the momentum, get the win.
Yeah, I'm sure Craig Fitzgibbon mentioned your multi at halftime.
I'm sure he would have done. And I mean, Ronaldo's probably looked at himself all week in the mirror and said, "I've got to be better than that."
I've let Charlie down there.
But where are we going for your same game multi this week?
Yeah, I'm going Para v Sharks. Parramatta to win. Sivo, anytime try scorer, and Niokora from the Sharks.
Britain Niokora, nice.
Yeah. Anytime try scorer as well.
Good value there. $11.60.
That is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to go to the Dolphins Canberra game.
Okay.
And
I'm interested to hear this.
I'm actually feeling good about the Dolphins. I think they stay.
You get your fins up.
I've got my fins up. I was there Sunday, and the atmosphere was amazing, and my fins hasn't gone down since since Sunday. I've had my fin up, and I've got them at $2.45 here. So I'm going to pick them to win. No line.
It's a sell out there as well. It
is, although 10,000. That's give them a bigger ground. They probably, in hindsight, would love to be at Suncorp again, get another 30. But I'm going to go them. Asako on the right wing. I think he'll score a try. And then just as an extra little sneaky one, I popped with a hammer in there as well. So I think it could be a Dolphins dust-up of the Raiders. And that's paying $9.91. So hopefully I've got my fin up on Saturday as well.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, well, thanks very much, everybody, for joining us here on the latest edition of Midweek Matters and the Buy Round. Have a great week, everybody, and enjoy round 2 of the football.